In this tutorial we're going to learn how to make a simple one colour granny square. This tutorial is for beginners, but you will need to know some basic crochet stitches and skills. If you've never picked up a crochet hook before, you need this granny square tutorial up here instead. The left-handed version of the tutorial is linked down in the description, so let's get started. To start your granny square, first make a slip knot. This is how I like to make my slip knots. I hold my yarn and hook how I normally would, and then I put my crochet hook to one side of my working yarn, and then I pull out. Then rotate the hook 360 degrees, so you've made this twist. This twist is what I prefer instead of a slip knot. So I'm going to pinch that twist, and then we're going to chain 4. So just a reminder for a chain stitch is yarn over and then pull that loop through the loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've made 4 chains. Now what we're going to do is we're going to join the two ends of this very short chain around into a ring that will form the centre of our granny square. So to do this, put your hook in that first chain. It doesn't matter what thread of yarn you go under, just somewhere in that first chain. And then you're going to do a slip stitch, which is just like a chain, but we're going to pull the yarn through the chain that we've just put our hook into as well. So we're going to yarn over and then pull that yarn over through that chain and the loop on your hook. That's the slip stitch right there. So now we're going to start round 1 of our granny square, and we're going to start it with a chain of 3. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. 1, 2, 3. So this is our starting chain of 3. In crochet, we often start rows and rounds with a chain, and this chain can sometimes count as a stitch. So what I'm going to do is this chain, we're going to pretend it's our very first double crochet stitch, or if you're in the UK, a treble crochet. What I will do is I will talk in US terms and I'll put the UK terms up in this corner. So now we're going to make 2 double crochet into that chain ring. To make a double crochet, we yarn over, then we put our hook into the center of that chain ring. So I'll just bring this a little bit closer. So if I wiggle this about a bit, you can see there is a ring of chain stitches just there. That is going to be the center of our granny square. So now I've yarned over, I'm going to put my hook into the center just there of that ring. And then we've got this dangly yarn tail from where we started. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put that over the top of my hook as well, and we're going to crochet over the top of it as we do this first round. This looks like a mess, a confusing mess on a hook, but don't worry, I promise you we're going to turn this into a granny square. So now we're going to finish off making that double crochet stitch. So I'm going to yarn over again and pull it through that chain ring. Now got 3 loops on our hook. So yarn over and pull through just the first 2 of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through the second 2 of those loops. And you can see just there, that is our very first double crochet stitch. We're going to make another one just like that next to it. So yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So this is what your granny square should look like right now. We've got this chain ring here, and then remember we're counting this chain here as our first stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3 double crochet stitches. So that side just there, the tops of those stitches, that's going to be one side of our granny square. So now we're going to make a corner, and to make a corner we're going to do a chain space. So we're going to work 2 chains, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to work 3 more double crochets into that center ring. So yarn over, put your hook into that center ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and again, yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So hopefully you can see now what I mean about crocheting over the top of that tail. So my tail's running underneath the backs of these stitches because I'm holding it alongside my chain as I crochet. And this is quite important because once we finish this round, it means we can pull on that end and it will get rid of that hole at the centre of our granny squares. So let's make another double crochet. Yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to make another chain 2 corner space. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And now we're going to make another group of 3 double crochet into that ring. Yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and again. Yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we've made 3 groups of 3 double crochet and we've made 3 sides of our square. So let's make another corner by chaining 2. Hopefully you've got the hang of the double crochet stitch now. So we're going to make 3 more double crochet into that center ring to finish off the first round of our square. So for this last corner, we're going to do something a little bit different to what we did on the other 3 corners. That's because we need to transition up into round 2, and I have a really neat trick here, which means that your starting chain is always hidden in the corners. So we're just going to chain 1 this time, and then we're going to make a single crochet into the top of this chain. So I'm going to put my hook into the top of this chain, so that is that stitch just there. So we've got 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm just going to put my hook into that top chain. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop through that chain. We're not going to do a slip stitch like we did at the end of that chain ring. We are actually going to make a single crochet. So we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops on our hook. And what this does is this means that we're always starting our round of our square in the very corner, and it hides our chain really neatly. That single crochet we're going to pretend is the second chain of our corner. So do you remember what I was saying about crocheting over the top of your yarn tail? So I've managed to do that for the whole round. If you haven't, just take a big needle, thread your tail onto it and run it underneath all of those stitches around the centre. And then you can pull it and it gets rid, or at least makes smaller, that hole at the centre of our granny squares, and that just makes your granny square look that little bit neater. So let's crochet round 2. So before we start crocheting round 2, what we're going to do is we're going to turn our granny square over to work from the back. This means that our granny square sides will stay straight however big our granny square gets. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can always work from the right side, but we're going to work from the wrong side. So this is the front of my granny square. I can tell that because the stitches are smoother than the back, and I can see those V's at the top of the stitch. So I'm going to turn that little square over, and then we're going to start round 2. So I'm going to chain 3, just like we did at the start of the last round, and that counts as our first double crochet. And then I'm going to crochet 2 double crochets into that corner space that we created there. So there is our first double crochet and our second double crochet. So we've now made a group of 3 double crochet into that corner, because remember we count that chain as our first double crochet. So now we're going to skip all of those stitches there, and we're going to work only in the spaces. The beauty of granny squares is that you only ever work in the spaces. You don't have to work in the tops of the stitches, so in general you can crochet a little bit quicker. So I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to put my hook into the next chain 2 space, and I'm going to make 3 double crochets into it. So there are our 3 double crochets. We've now made this side of the square bigger. So we're ready to make our next corner, which is the same as round 1, and we just chain 2. Now we're going to make 3 more double crochet into the same chain 2 space, and this will make our corner. So there's my 3 double crochet there. You can see we've got a nice corner here. So we're now going to repeat this for the next 2 corner spaces. So we're going to work a group of 3 double crochet, and that's our 3rd double crochet there, and then we're going to chain 2 and then make 3 more double crochet into that same space, and this is our next corner. If my yarn wants to cooperate, it will become our next corner. So there we are. So I've just worked 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, making the next corner. I'm going to repeat that in the next corner space, skipping all of those stitches in between and only working in the spaces. So now I'm doing a chain 2 corner, and then 3 more double crochet into the same corner space. So those are the next 2 groups of 3 double crochet in our next corner. You can see what our square is starting to look like. So the next corner, we've already done 1 group of 3 double crochet just there, so we need to do another group. So I'm going to make 3 double crochet into the next corner space. So there are my 3 double crochet there, making the first group, and we already made the second group at the beginning of the round. Okay, so next we're going to make a corner space just like we did at the end of round 1 with a chain 1 and a single crochet. So I've chained 1, and then I'm going to make a single crochet into the top of this starting chain. So we've got 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain. So I'm putting my hook into that chain just there. I'm going to make a single crochet by yarning over and pulling through just that chain, and then yarning over and pulling through both loops on my hook. And then I'm going to chain 3 to start our 3rd round. Before we start round 3, we're going to turn our square over. We do this in between all of the rounds, and that is so that we're working on a different side, alternating between which side we're working from. This is because crochet stitches lean slightly, so if we alternate which way that they're leaning, the sides of our square stay straight if you make a very big square. If you make a small square, you absolutely do not have to turn every round. So we already made this chain of 3 that counts as our first double crochet. Then we're going to finish off that 3 double crochet group by making 2 double crochet into that corner space. And then on round 1, we worked into the center chain ring, and then on round 2 we worked into those corner spaces. Now on round 3 we have got our 4 corner spaces, but we've also got these spaces along the sides of the square, and those are the spaces that we will be crocheting into. And this formula for a granny square doesn't change however big your square is. The formula for each round is exactly the same. So if we have a look, our next space is along the side of the square. So that means that we do 3 double crochet into that space. Remember, not into the stitches, into those spaces between the groups of 3 double crochet. And then my next space is now a corner. So I know that I need to do a corner group into that corner space there. So that corner group is just like we did in the last round. We do 3 double crochet and then we chain 2. Then work 3 double crochet into that same corner space. And that is our corner group done. So remember, your corner group is 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, all into that same space. So now we're going to move on to the next space, which is along the side. So I work 3 double crochet into it. And then in the next space, which is a corner space, we're going to work that corner group. So that is a group of 3 double crochet and then chain 2 and then 3 double crochet into that corner group. And we're going to keep doing this until we get back to that corner that we started in, repeating those 2 steps. So your 3 double crochet if the space is on the side, and your 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet if the space is a corner. And we do this however big your square gets, this is the same. So in the next space, I'm going to work 3 double crochet because it's the side of the square, and then the next space is 3 double crochet then chain 2, then 3 double crochet into the same space because it's a corner. And then into the next space, which is along the side of a square. So we do 3 double crochet only. And then we should be back at the start of the round. So here we are. So this is round 1, round 2, and round 3. So this is where we started. We've already made 3 double crochet into this corner space. We need to finish off this corner with 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then if you're going to keep making your square bigger and bigger, you would chain 1, single crochet into the top of that starting chain, chain 3, which counts our first stitch, and then turn and continue those steps until the square is the size that you want it to be. However, we're going to finish off our square, and a really easy way of finishing off a square is with a slip stitch. So I've already made 1 chain of my corner, so I'll make my 2nd chain of my corner. Then I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of that chain. And then I'm going to chain 1, which fastens off our work. So I'm going to snip my yarn, leaving a tail to weave your ends in later. And now I've snipped my tail, I can pull it through that chain and then pull on that yarn tail, and that fastens off our yarn there, ready for weaving in. And I have a tutorial on how to weave ends into granny squares up here. If you want to learn how to change colours, then I will link those tutorials down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've liked this tutorial.